and Facebook.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Oh no, Facebook isn't letting me log in. We might not be live to Facebook. Oh, I love it when technical difficulties arise. Hang on.
Hi, Julia. Just have to shout out to Julia. Aw, thanks for coming. Hello, everyone, actually. Yeah.
Oh man. Facebook isn't going to let me in. This is great. I'm always logged in. I don't know what's happened. Okay, crisis averted. All right. Okay, let me get back to Zoom. All right. Let me try this again. 1 sec. Live on Facebook. There we go. Fasting forum. Ooh, okay. All righty. Welcome everyone to our fasting forum on this lovely evening. It's nice to see everybody here. I'm here with my fabulous guests, Crystal and Juniper, and we are just going to talk about the different ways of fast and different reasons of fasting and preparation to fast, because that's important, and breaking your fast, which is important. And we will open it up to questions afterwards if we have enough time. And I'll just start. I don't know a whole lot about fasting, so I thought, what a better way to learn than just to host a Zoom with some people who know a little bit more than I do. And I just entered a 66-hour fast, and I broke it last night. And so I have a little firsthand knowledge from my very first one. And I found a really amazing app called Companion with a K that really helped me stay motivated, and it told me like what was going on in my body. So like, the anabolic stage and what's going on, and it shows you, what organs are working, and you can keep track of your water intake, and it'll give you tips and tricks, and then it'll show you like how many hours it'll be to your catabolic, is that how you say it, stage, and what happens there, and then your fat burning stage, and then ketosis. And it was really, really an amazing app, and it counted down your hours and how far you were on it. So I found it really, really helpful. I was checking it all the time, and then it's exciting to take screenshots and share it, and to help other people, help you celebrate. But we were doing it as a church, and I've never fasted in a spiritual way. And it's, if you're trying to get closer to God or whatever your spiritual practice is, and you're full of stuff, like you can't pick up something new if your hands are full already. So fasting is a great way to come hungry for God or for your spiritual practice. And I thought that was really wild. And because I wasn't so focused on, because I'm a snack person, even if it's healthy snacks, I still need all the snacks. So I wasn't so focused on that. I wasn't focused on, what's my next thing to eat is going to be. I didn't know how much of my life that consumed. Even drinking 2 shakes a day in one meal and my snacks is still a lot of thinking about nourishing yourself, and I didn't have that. And so I got so much stuff done. um, and I went into my fast. I had a hearty vegan salad and a shake, a Purium shake. And then I went into it with spring water with ionic elements and super aminos and control caps and all the all the vitamins. And then I had some extra liquid vitamins from a really good company that I consumed in the meantime because I was really missing my power shake and all that stuff. And vegetable broth, a really good vegetable broth with added Celtic sea salt and coconut oil. And boy, that didn't taste very good the first time I had it. But the second cup of it tasted pretty darn good, and now I really like it. I would still want to have it. It's really good. But coconut oil for the extra healthy fats was really good. And Juniper taught me all about you can have a spoonful of that. And then I broke it quite gently with strawberries and some apple and my glorious, glorious power shake. And yeah, that's about it. I grew closer to my faith and had a really amazing experience. And people are commenting, I don't feel like I mean, the scale doesn't say I lost weight, but people are looking at me going, whoa, did you ever lose a lot of weight? And there's something about your eyes, you're just so clear. And I feel like my brain is online. And I don't know, I feel pretty good. And yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Excellent.
Jennifer, would you like to share?
Amazing work for sure. Congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment. 66 hours, you said that's a long time to be, satiating your body and such, and just to be able to stay in that consistency. I know the fasting that I've been a fan of is intermittent fasting, to where you work off of a certain schedule. And yeah, I've done some of those extreme fasts, gone like 48 hours, but the ones that I live off of mainly is just like a 12 hours or 18 hours. Those ones are really easy to kind of ease into. And that's what I would recommend for anybody who hasn't really experienced fasting or explored the opportunity, is just kind of easing into it and thinking about it as far as like a mind shift where, like, okay, so your eating window is going to be like, 12 hours a day that you're not going to eat, and then 12 hours that you are going to eat. So that's really easy to also extend into like an 18-hour period by saying, I'm going to stop eating around 6 p.m. and then pick up eating again, after 6 a.m., which most people can actually honestly go into like maybe 8 a.m. before you're nourishing. And what I consider fasting is anything that's going to be over 50 calories. So things like our super aminos, those are really good. I heard you mention that you were using super aminos and the ionic elements. Those are really good because our super aminos go straight into our bloodstream. And that's the protein first thing in the morning. So that way it's actually satiating our body. I also really like to use, as you mentioned, coconut oil, because that's going to be the healthy fats that kind of trip up our body into feeling healthier. And I put that in some tea. So I like to make like a hot cup of, like, say, our mushroom tea, our mushroom blends that we have. And I'm using that coconut oil in my mushroom tea, blending it into a warm drink and having that in the morning. And then again, it's really what I'm focusing on when I'm doing my counting. I do net carbs is what I count. So I look at the total carbs, taking away any kind of dietary fiber out of the drink, so to speak. So if it's like one of our dark berry drinks or one of our green drinks, it's easy enough to say, okay, well, there's so many, net carbs. You take the carbs minus the fiber, and that's your net carbs. And so that's what we want to focus on. Whenever I do a fast, I'm going to be doing under 50 net carbs. And so that's something that, unlimited vegetables, unlimited fruits and vegetables is also another thing that I like to really focus on. So it's more of like a fast of like staying a vacation from processed foods is how I started with my journey. And then just really counting the net carbs and, keeping those things healthy. And like you said, some of the vegetable broth is really a good thing to have, just because it's not going to be more than 50 calories in any given moment. And that's how I was able to maintain my fasting throughout lunches and, even late through the day. And then having my one meal a day is what I would call it. So that's like later in the evening, right? So it's like normal evening time when the family's home or what have you. So everybody's getting around dinner time. So that's where I would incorporate more of my heavy meals. So that's kind of my lifestyles. I'd love to hear about Crystal, about your fasting experience as well.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for sharing all that. Yeah, hi, I'm Crystal, and I've trained as a nurse. I'm fairly new to Purium. I'm by no way an expert on fasting, but coming from a clinical perspective, the human body, yeah, I definitely can add some value to the conversation. And I do have some personal experience with fasting, and I do have a lot of personal experience when it comes to weight concerns, body image concerns. I've been up and down on the scale, probably 300 pounds at various points in my life. Really struggled with eating challenges, a lot of processed food. I ate a lot of food at different times, right from a child, actually. I struggled to regulate emotions, and food was that thing for me. So fasting, very interesting. I like people to explore fasting for its therapeutic value and that it does have a powerful effect on human health. Like, many of us step into fasting or even think about fasting as our last ditch effort to lose weight, right? We're somehow unhappy with the body, how we're shaped, how we're sized, and carrying guilt and shame about that. And so fasting can almost be like a way of like persecuting the body, like self-attack, right? And so I don't want to really ever get into a conversation about fasting as a sole method for weight loss. But I do want to talk about fasting as being a very intentional act, and it's asking your body and your mind to work in harmony. So our bodies were made to continually adapt to the internal and external environment. And it's interesting how the quality and content, even of our thoughts, determine how our body functions, determine how we metabolize, determine how our hormones are working for or against us. And I'll get into the hormones in a little bit here, but fasting is an incredibly powerful tool to reclaim our body, mind, and our spirit. I loved how Pamela brought fasting into the realm of her spirituality and how it gave her time to enhance her connection with a higher power and her God, right? Um, fasting Fasting for me has always been, I put fasting on the table when I want to achieve, just say, a broader perspective on something. Um, think about it. We spend a lot of time preparing food, eating food, thinking about food. So when you take food out of the equation, man, like you're creating a huge space in your life. And what you're going to put into that space, that's what gets interesting. And that's what makes fasting so individual, right? Not everybody will put meditation and prayer in that space. For myself, I know the power of breath work, of breathing slower, to optimize, and my posture, right? So when I was fasting and feeling hungry, I knew that that was a time for me to focus on how am I sitting? How is my airway? How can I be supporting my breathing? Because through breathing we can reclaim and transform health at an incredible way. I wanted to add that fasting and eating disorders. This is where fasting is very individual. If somebody has struggled with an eating disorder, I personally wouldn't work with somebody as a coach who's openly discussed an eating disorder and guiding them through a fast. There's a lot of reasons for that. You know, the state of ketosis can actually bring on like euphoric feelings, right? So if people have had a history of, say, anorexia, fasting could trigger a lot of those concerns and behaviors. So medical conditions, a lot of medical conditions really thrive on fasting, even diabetes, but some of them require added consideration, right? Like easing into them. I could think of adrenal fatigue as being an example. But at the end of the day, you know, when we put weight on, it's usually because one or more of our detox pathways is kind of congested, right? So either the liver, kidneys, the lymph, and fasting is a really good way to open up those pathways naturally. And by adding clean water, herbs, a lot of our greens products, our organic fruits and vegetables, is a really nice way to alkalize the body and to just bring those detox pathways, just to open them up and get the toxins out of the body. So I think some people might want to just do a full-on water fast, but it really depends on the person. I mean, I've done fasts where I've done juice. I've done fasts where I'm providing myself with bone broth, where, you know, you have some minerals. I think we have to be very mindful that when you're fasting and you are moving into a state of ketosis, your body is literally dumping minerals. So you don't want to cause any harm, and supplementing during a fast is completely acceptable. It's not necessary. I think it would really depend on what your goals are, what you're trying to support. I really love Mindy Peltz, Dr. Mindy Peltz. Now, she wrote a book, Fast Like a Girl, and that completely changed my whole perspective and my whole world of, you know, how fasting is different for women and how women need to really understand their hormone cycles and how different foods, different behaviors, and even their social environment can really affect their hormone cycles. And so, for instance, I think we have one man on here. If we have more, hello, gentlemen. But men are hormonally different, right? They have 24-hour hormone cycles, and they only have one main hormone to contend with, and that's testosterone. And it's going in and out of their body like every 15 minutes. But women, we have oxytocin, progesterone, estrogen, you know, and of course, like men, we are influenced with insulin and cortisol. But I think it's interesting to know for women, you know, we have a hormonal hierarchy. So, and this is what really changed my perception of hormones and the importance of the non-food things and the non-supplement things. So let's talk about the hormonal hierarchies. So on the very top, you have oxytocin, and then you have cortisol, and then you have insulin, and underneath you have your progesterone, estrogen, and your little bit of testosterone, because women have testosterone too. But interesting, with oxytocin being at the top, the amount of oxytocin that we have in our bodies is what's driving the cortisol, is the stress hormone, is what's driving the insulin. And you know, if you've had kids, you probably remember oxytocin is that love hormone, right? We get doses of oxytocin when we're talking to our best friend, when we're hugging, laughing, petting our dog, holding a baby, saying, I love you, being in a state of gratitude, you know, snuggling, intimate relationships, meditation, yoga, human touch, massage, and having deep, meaningful conversations with people. So oxytocin rightfully should be on the top. It's powerful. So when we're engaging in these non-food behaviors, that's what's driving the ability to play down the cortisol, right? So when we're producing oxytocin, then it's telling the body to stop producing cortisol, which is that stress hormone. You know, it's okay, you're safe, you're loved. And it has the power to balance out all the other hormones. So we all benefit greatly when we're part of a community, feeling connected and getting our oxytocin. And knowing that cortisol has a huge drive on our insulin production, we want to more than ever be aware of managing stress, and through the space that we create with fasting gives us an opportunity to restructure a lot of different things in our lives, and a lot of practices that we get to evaluate. Is that working for me? Or because we have extra time, we can literally hone and create these safe spaces that have deep meaning and purpose, to take us to where we want to go, into a next level in our life, in our business, in our relationship, relationship with self, relationship with food, whatnot. So, and then of course we have insulin. So a lot of people, I do think fasting is amazing for breaking through insulin resistance. So if somebody has a lot of belly fat, chances are you have insulin resistance, right? So what exactly is insulin resistance? It's when, you went through quite a period of time, you're eating, processed foods by and large, but just a higher carbohydrate diet, right? Like where you have an imbalance, or not as much protein, not as much fat, but the carbs are high. So you're taking in high carb meals, low fiber meals. And what's that doing is it's spiking your blood sugar. And in response to that blood sugar, your insulin has to be secreted. But when you're getting into those habits of eating, what's happening is your blood sugar is always spiking, and so your insulin's always spiking, and pretty soon your body gets lazy to that. It's so used to seeing insulin that it doesn't pay attention to it anymore, becomes resistant to it. It's still, so it can't get up into the cell, but it still keeps making it. And basically the end result is that excess belly fat. And we tend to think of belly fat as, I don't like it there, let's get rid of it. But it's so much more than that, right? Like belly fat is a dynamic metabolic organ that secretes its own hormones. So, and it's influenced by cortisol. When we release stress or cortisol, it's telling the body, make more insulin, don't release that fat, and stop building muscle. So when we want to use fasting to break through insulin resistance, it's a great, great tool, giving your body a chance to go without food, to reset those hormonal levels, and to start releasing that belly fat. So it's a really great tool for that. I think when we go into fasting, it's really good to have a journal and to set very clear intentions, not how much weight do I want to lose, or it's what are the goals for my body? Am I going to focus on breathing, posture, getting enough water? How am I going to supplement my minerals? And with the mind, what will I be doing to put my mind to work? Do I have a big overarching question? Am I at a crossroads at anywhere in my life? So this is the chance we have to really think on purpose, whether we're looking to transform our relationship with food. When we're fasting, we tend to be in a higher state of self-honesty. And it's a really great opportunity to bring self-compassion to the table. And for spiritual awareness, now when we're fasting, we tend to be a lot sensitive to our external, internal environment. So we seem to have sharper visions. We hear things a lot more clearly. And so it's a great opportunity to raise our spiritual consciousness, right? And okay, so let's talk about, did anybody have any questions? How is this stuff landing? Anybody?
We have a question on Facebook.
Do you? Can
Yeah.
you go ahead and just
She asked, my boyfriend is diabetic. Is there a program for him?
for fasting?
Mhm.
So when it comes to diabetes, this is fascinating because of course you definitely want to monitor your blood sugars. I think it would be very helpful to consider a continuous glucose monitor and to put that on a week before the fast and to go right through with it for, I think you can have them for 2 or 3 weeks. And to really understand how certain foods are impacting your blood sugar. It's interesting because your microbiome and the health of your mitochondria, and those are the little powerhouse energy production little factories in your cells. The health of your microbiome and the health of your mitochondria actually predict how well your body is secreting insulin and using insulin. It really affects your glucose metabolism in a huge way. So if you have poor gut health, you can expect your blood sugars to be a little bit erratic. But for somebody with diabetes, I think gut health is by far a very powerful focus. And you will notice as your gut health improves, those 4,000 population variety of those little microbes, when they start becoming more diverse, your blood sugars will stabilize. Your blood sugars will improve a lot. So the question being, is there a specific program for someone who's diabetic? I mean, I don't have a specific program for that. I think you would want to speak with your doctor. I think there's a lot of factors involved. What kind of diabetes? How long have you had diabetes? Where are you in your health transformation journey? I would have a lot of questions. It would take a pretty comprehensive assessment to lean into fasting and diabetes.
All I know is Georgie on here is diabetic
Yep.
on insulin, and she's been doing the ULT for, quite a few months, and she's been dialing back her insulin like
That's amazing.
pretty great amounts.
Yeah.
Um,
So many reasons why that's happening. Like, congratulations, Georgie. That's amazing because you're focusing on your gut health and you're obviously focusing on getting a macronutrient balance. You're getting your protein in, right? Which is stabilizing your blood sugar levels. You're getting your fiber in, which is helping to not to spike your carbohydrates or not to spike your sugars. So macro balance is really important. Yeah. Is fasting safe for people that have diabetes? I've known lots of people to have diabetes and fast and have great outcomes. But again, just be aware that who you are and what your metabolic makeup is. And if you fast today and then, as a diabetic, and then you fast a year from now, would you have a different result? I would think so. I would hope so. Right? So
and it might be good to start even just with intermittent fasting.
I think intermittent fasting is great. When it comes to diabetes, when it comes to anyone, actually, you need to be very mindful of your protein. So no matter what your eating window is, you still have that 24-hour requirement of protein that suits you and suits your goals, right? So you have to be very, very careful that if you're shortening your eating window, that doesn't mean you're skipping meals. That means you're still consuming the same amount of calories, the same macronutrient balance, protein, fats, and carbs. You're just consuming it in a smaller window, right? So just very important to think about that, because fasting is not about shortchanging yourself in any way. Fasting is allowing your body and your liver, particularly if you're doing intermittent fasting, is to take a break, right? Where you're not always snacking. When we're always snacking and always eating, what's happening is that you're constantly releasing glucose, you're constantly spiking your insulin. So that's what's contributing to the insulin resistance, right? And the problems that we have with, gaining belly fat and blood sugar metabolism problems, with putting ourselves at risk for diabetes. But even if you could eat 3 robust meals a day and give yourself 3 to 4 hour window between meals, man, your liver's going to love you for that. And you have the power to reverse insulin resistance with intermittent fasting and not snacking constantly, if insulin resistance is specifically the issue that you're trying to target. Yeah.
And I was listening to, I think it was Dr. Mindy, who was talking about um, uh, like your eating should go along with the circadian rhythms or whatever. So like when the sun goes down, your metabolism slows down. And so, like follow that as well.
No, it's so true. I mean, we are in complete alignment with the sun. So when the sun is highest at noon, that's when our metabolism is highest, right? So we would have a slower metabolism when the sun's just coming up, and sun gets high at noon, our metabolism ramps up a bit and then it starts slowing down. But to eat after the sun goes down it's not against the law, but it's a real disservice to your body, right? It's just the way it is, right? But having said that, if you know that you're really short on your protein and it's 9 o'clock at night and you feel that you need to still meet that protein, have a protein shake, because that is going to far outweigh the risk of shorting your body on protein, right? So, but fasting, intermittent fasting, it really calls us to be strategic, really calls us to plan, like, what are we going to eat, and what's the quality of our food, the quantity of our food, what's our eating rhythm going to be. So fasting really calls us to be mindful in a lot of ways. I don't think anybody should just walk into it and wing it, right? Even when we're preparing for a fast, start having your green shakes. Don't lean into a fast with a big heavy meal. I mean, you can, but it would be so much better to store up all those micronutrients and give yourself some nutrient density from some nice shakes, right? And some nice products. And your like cocoa hydrate would be really good. And yeah, just really amping up all of those things, getting your minerals in, preparing for the fast, and of course having nice clean water. Please don't drink tap water and fast. There's a lot of hormone disruptors in the tap water that's really putting us in a state of toxicity to begin with. So try not to. If that's all you have, fine. But
And
yeah,
Juniper has to go. So thank you so much for coming, Juniper. And if anybody came and is watching and was invited by Juniper, please get a hold of her, or at least let her know that you're watching, and that if you'd like to ask her any questions, she'd love to follow up with you.
excellent. See you, Juniper.
Yes, so good to have everyone here, and thank you so much. Really good information, and I agree. We want to make sure that we're not just jumping into a fasting, but really setting up our bodies to be successful in this. So, not having the whole like mindset of like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna start tomorrow. Like, you want to really just prepare your body ahead of time by feeding yourself with those nutrients first, so that way you can be up already on your nutrition game, and like you say, prepare for it, plan. And there is lots of important details that we want to really pay attention to. Not
Yeah,
just go cold, because that's like anything else, you want to have a preparation plan. So that's really great.
right.
Good topic. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Crystal, and all of our guests. We appreciate you guys all coming in to visit with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Juniper.
Sure.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Any burning questions?
The pack, Georgie, that you're talking about, is it just the ULT, and is there directions that come with it?
Yes, if you go to puriumbusiness.com and the diabetic way,
Mhm.
I think it's a diabetic challenge actually. Dave explains exactly what he feels that you should be eating and drinking. I think it's you drink 3 green shakes a day, and then you have just super food snacks or super or flex foods in between. And
So
but you
you're
should.
keeping you're keeping your engine burning, and those three add that help produce is the epinectin. Am
Yeah,
I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but that's what helps tear
and the,
down what
mhm,
the cortisol built over time.
yes, and uh, and it keeps your blood sugars level if you
I'm
do
so
it.
happy. I love seeing you out there shoveling that snow. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy for you. I'm happy that we have all found this, and I hope everybody here succeeds.
And that
Thank
challenge is called the A1C challenge.
Yeah, A1C challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can send it out to my guest here who's watching on Facebook. Whoops.
All
Thank you,
righty.
Crystal. I appreciate your time so much.
And
Oh,
thank
my pleasure.
You're so
My pleasure.
knowledgeable.
Oh, thank you. I've been in the dietetic world for a lot of years and come through it by way of my own challenges. So there's the blessing right there, right? Turning,
Right.
yeah,
thanks,
Thank
pain
Chris.
you.
into
Thank you,
purpose.
guys.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
great.
So just get back with whoever invited here. If you're watching the replay or watching on Facebook or wherever you're watching from, because we have special gifts to you and we'd love to chat. So thank you, Georgie, for coming. Thank you, Crystal, for coming on here with me and Juniper and sharing this knowledge. I can't wait to talk about this more because this is just kind of scratching the surface, but
Yeah, fascinating. We didn't even get into breaking the fast, and
no,
oh, we could probably have a series on fasting.
we probably should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This would be a good, because like Allison was just saying on Facebook that like she's only done very short ones and she'd like to do a longer one. So,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe we could have like a group fast.
Oh, that would be great. I mean,
Uh,
when I go into fasting, I like to fast for autophagy, right? And stem cells. So, after 72 hours, your body's repairing and it's creating stem cells, and that's amazing. I mean, you can
I
have
was, I
bone
was,
density, all of it, all
I
of
was
it.
really tempted to go into that deep ketosis because that was like the next stage you're showing on my app and oh,
Yeah.
still Facebook Live. Let's stop that. Hey, Facebook, you're
Bye.
still getting educated here. We're gonna go now.